As parents, it's natural to crave our children's approval. We want them to be proud of us, to value our opinions, and to see us as sources of wisdom and guidance. However, when it comes to adult children, seeking their approval can become a slippery slope. Constantly trying to please them, agreeing with everything they say, and molding ourselves to fit their expectations can actually have the opposite effect, leading to a loss of respect. Consider Margaret, a kind-hearted woman who spent years trying to earn her children's approval by constantly catering to their needs and desires. She would drop everything to help them, often neglecting her own needs in the process. She avoided expressing her own opinions if she thought it would upset them, slowly silencing her own voice. Instead of earning their respect, Margaret's constant self-sacrifice led her children to take her for granted. They began to see her as a doormat, someone who would always be there to clean up their messes and put their needs first. They didn't respect her boundaries because she never seemed to have any. Margaret's story teaches us a valuable lesson. Respect isn't earned through self-sacrifice or by constantly seeking approval. It's earned by having the courage to be yourself, to voice your opinions, and to set healthy boundaries. In the quest to regain respect from adult children, many parents fall into the trap of arguing their case. They reason, they plead, they try to prove their worth with words. However, this approach often backfires. Arguing tends to create defensiveness and resentment, pushing children further away instead of bringing them closer. Frank, a retired teacher, was frustrated by his adult children's lack of respect. He would engage in long, drawn-out arguments, trying to convince them that he deserved their respect based on his age, experience, and the sacrifices he'd made for them. These arguments only served to create more tension and distance. His children began to dread their interactions with him, knowing they would likely devolve into another frustrating debate. Frank eventually realized that arguing was counterproductive. He shifted his focus to embodying the respect he desired. He started by treating his children with the same respect he hoped to receive, listening attentively to their perspectives even when he disagreed with them. He stopped interrupting, criticizing, and belittling them. It's common for parents to derive a sense of purpose and fulfillment from their children. While this is natural, especially when children are young, becoming emotionally dependent on them can be detrimental in the long run. Helen, a devoted mother, found herself feeling increasingly unhappy and unfulfilled as her children grew older. She had poured her heart and soul into raising them, often putting their needs ahead of her own. She lived for their phone calls, eagerly awaited their visits, and felt a constant void when they weren't around. Her happiness hinged on her children's attention and affection, leaving her feeling empty and unimportant when they were busy with their own lives. Helen's experience highlights the importance of parents cultivating their own sources of happiness and fulfillment. This might involve rekindling old passions, pursuing new interests, or nurturing friendships and relationships outside the family unit. Boundaries are essential in any healthy relationship, and the parent-adult-child dynamic is no exception. Boundaries are not about being controlling or demanding. They are about protecting your emotional well-being and teaching others how to treat you. Robert, a retired businessman, had always struggled with setting boundaries with his adult children. He felt it was his duty to always be there for them, no matter what. This led to them taking advantage of his generosity, borrowing money they didn't repay, and expecting him to be available at their beck and call. This lack of boundaries left Robert feeling disrespected and unappreciated. He realized that he needed to set clear boundaries to protect his time, energy, and emotional well-being. He started by having open and honest conversations with his children, expressing how their actions were making him feel and what he needed from them moving forward. He established clear consequences for boundary violations, such as not answering calls after a certain hour or declining requests that would require him to rearrange his own schedule. Many parents believe that showering their children with gifts, money, and constant help is the best way to show their love and support. However, this constant giving can sometimes create an unhealthy dynamic. Children may come to expect these gestures, taking them for granted and failing to appreciate the effort behind them. George, a generous man, had always enjoyed giving generously to his children. He showered them with gifts, offered financial assistance whenever they needed it, and went out of his way to help them with any task or project. While his intentions were good, George's constant giving created a sense of entitlement in his children. They began to see his generosity as an obligation rather than an act of love. They rarely expressed gratitude for his efforts, leaving him feeling unappreciated and taken advantage of. George realized that he needed to shift the dynamic from constant giving to mutual appreciation. He started by expressing his love and support through words of affirmation, spending quality time with his children, and showing genuine interest in their lives. Section 6. Rediscovering yourself, the joy of personal pursuits. As parents, it's easy to become so engrossed in our children's lives that we neglect our own interests and passions. We may pour all our energy into nurturing their dreams, forgetting that we too have dreams and aspirations that deserve to be pursued. Eleanor, a widow, found herself feeling lost and unfulfilled after her children moved out and started their own families. She had dedicated her life to being a wife and mother, often putting her own needs and desires on hold. Eleanor realized that to regain a sense of purpose and respect, she needed to rediscover herself outside of her roles as wife and mother. She joined a book club, enrolled in a watercolor painting class, and started volunteering at a local animal shelter. Through these activities, Eleanor rekindled old passions and discovered new ones. She met new people, engaged in stimulating conversations, and felt a renewed sense of purpose and vitality. More importantly, her children began to see her as a multifaceted individual with her own interests and passions, which earned their admiration and respect. Section 7. The confidence of self-respect. At the heart of regaining respect from adult children lies a fundamental principle as self-respect. When you respect yourself, you set a standard for how others should treat you. This doesn't mean being arrogant or demanding, but rather valuing your own worth and setting healthy boundaries. Think back to Margaret, who constantly sought her children's approval. She didn't believe she was worthy of respect in her own right. She tied her self-worth to their opinions, leaving her feeling powerless and insignificant. In contrast, consider Frank, who initially tried to argue his way to respect. He eventually realized that respect wasn't something he could demand or argue into existence. It was something he needed to embody. By treating himself and others with respect, he naturally commanded respect from his children. Section 8, the long path, patience and understanding. Regaining respect from adult children is not a quick fix. It's a process that requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to adapt. There might be setbacks along the way, moments of frustration, and times when you feel like giving up. Remember that your children are also navigating their own complexities of adulthood, forming their own identities and establishing their own values and boundaries. Their behaviors might not always align with your expectations, and that's okay. Approach the situation with empathy and understanding. Try to see things from their perspective, even when you disagree with their choices or actions. Keep the lines of communication open, but avoid lecturing or trying to control their behavior. Section 9, Conclusion, a new chapter of respect and growth. The journey to regain respect from your adult children is ultimately a journey of self-discovery and growth. It's about recognizing your own worth, setting healthy boundaries, and living a fulfilling life both within and beyond the role of a parent. Remember that respect is earned, not demanded. By focusing on your own well-being, pursuing your passions, and treating yourself and others with respect, you create a ripple effect that naturally fosters respect in your relationships. It's never too late to build a more respectful and fulfilling dynamic with your adult children. Embrace the journey, be patient with yourself and them, and trust that the effort you invest in yourself and your relationships will pave the way for a brighter and more connected future.